Hello, I'd like to show you a plaque that I made to show my students all the different techniques, or some of the techniques that you can use for writing in icing. Either on plaques, which is a good idea to do your writing on plaques if you're not too happy about doing it, and then you put the plaque on the cake rather than piping straight on the cake. Up at the top, this technique, there, here, these two letters and all the numbers at the bottom are done in what's called a run-out technique, or in the USA it's called colour flow, which describes it very well, because what you do is you draw around the outline of a letter, say, and then you put a piece of paper on top that's non-stick. You then outline the line you can see through the paper and you flood it in. So that's why in the USA it's called colour flow. You can cover up the icing to flood it in, or if you like, as I've done there, I've painted over the letters once they were dry. So as I say, these are done in that method. This is called a monogram. It's the same method, which is a run out, and it's two letters linked together. It's very good, for instance, on a wedding cake, when you may link the initials of the bride and groom together. These words are piped with a number 1 nozzle, so it's either a 1 or it's a 1.5, which is a little bit bigger. A 1 is quite fine to work with. So those and these. This is a good way of piping letters, because instead of, for instance, doing a circle for a nought, which is quite difficult to guide your hand around a circle, you've got both straight sides, a V at the top and another V at the bottom. You see in the C, so your straight sides instead of curves. Curves are always harder to do than straight lines. This is a curve, you see, so when I did that I had to hold the nozzle quite away from the plaque so that I could guide it round and then bring it down at the last minute. I'm going to show you in a moment this little technique of these lines here. It's an embroidery technique, actually. I tell you what, it's very good for hiding any mistakes you make, as long as the mistakes are in the right place for this to look correct on the cake. So I'll show you that in a moment. Here, there's two lines of icing. There's a white line of icing underneath, and then a pink line on top of it. You can either do it once the white line's dry, or if you're very confident, you can pipe the pink line straight on top. What it does is it upraises the icing slightly and gives it more effect. The same nozzle has been used to pipe these little dots, which are a little decoration, the same as this curvy line, all done with the same nozzle or tip. And the run-outs here, you see, to highlight the beginning of the words, and then these have been painted over. I can see by looking at them that I've painted them. Sometimes it's quicker to paint than to start colouring up a bag full of icing. So now I'll show you some piping techniques. I have here a small icing bag with a number 2 nozzle in it. I'm using a number 2 because it'll show up better than if I was using the number 1. I'm going to write happy birthday because it is something that's needed quite a lot on family cakes. So, just a few things before I start. I may stop speaking because as you speak your body moves, and that's not a good idea when you're trying to do delicate piping. I'm keeping my elbow in at my side so my hand doesn't wobble, and using my other hand here to steady the bag. So you always try to pipe towards yourself, not away from yourself. Make the icing stick, bring it down. Now what I'm doing with this, for the H, I'm giving it a twirl to make it a little bit more decorative. Instead of trying to fit a line in between, I'm taking the line. Now, made a mistake. I've got a paintbrush here, a fine paintbrush, so if I do need to take away a little bit of icing, I can do it with the paintbrush. There we are. I'm not going to speak now till I've finished this word. There's happy and birthday. Now the space between the words should be approximately the size of a letter O. So I'm starting again just a short distance away. As you can see, all the letters are very close together. What I always used to do was to look at the advertisements and see how the professionals had done their lettering, and it's a good tip because you will see that all the letters are practically touching, not much space. If they have a big area to cover, they make the letters bigger. I'll just do that little squiggly line for you. When you're doing it, and as I say, I would normally do it with a number 1 nozzle, not a number 2. Think about a jigsaw puzzle and the pieces. So you go squiggle, 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 squiggle. You don't have to keep going in the same without stopping. What you don't want to do is this sort of thing, like that. You want to keep it moving and moving in different directions and keep it close together. So I'll finish with that. I've given you the idea. I'll just show you the S for the stalk on the plaque I showed you. So start, how did I start? Start up at the top. Now see the difference. I'm holding it up and guiding the icing around. So that needed the bag taken quite high up and pushing all the time to push the icing out. Well, I hope you've learned some new techniques from this little demonstration, and maybe you'll have a look at my website, because on there there's loads of suggestions that would help you about writing on cakes. Goodbye then.